So are we live? I think we're live. All right, guys, what is going on? Lux here from the MD Journey, helping you succeed on your medical journey with less stress. This Facebook Live is going to be pretty core to the message of the whole idea of the MD Journey, which is helping you succeed in medical school and your medical journey with less stress and ideally getting to a position of being successful. And so I want to give you kind of my own story, my own background of what led to this whole idea, as well as, what kind of tips that I learned, because I want to be really clear. I want to make sure I tell you guys that this whole journey of mine didn't start out very pretty. I didn't start as a medical student getting all A's, and I didn't have this all figured out. All of everything I kind of teach you on the TheMDJourney.com through our YouTube channel is experiences and lessons that I've learned myself, and I want to give them to you now. So we're going to go over my story really quickly, but I'm also going to give you kind of 4 tips that I've learned over my 4 years of medical school that have helped me get to a position where I'm really enjoying medical school. I'm thriving, I'm doing well, but I don't feel like I'm overwhelmed. Really quickly, for all of you guys that don't know who I am, don't know the MD Journey, just because I know we've gotten a lot of new subscribers and a lot of new viewers. My name is Lux. I'm a 4th-year medical student here in Texas. I've been doing the TheMDJourney.com for 2 years now, 2.5 years. The whole goal of it has been, as I've learned through my mistakes and my trial and errors, to teach you kind of how to start at an advantage when you begin medical school, how to do well in regards to studying, manage your time, interacting with patients, doing well on your rotations, everything you kind of would want to know when you're starting med school. I'm kind of giving you those lessons as I learned them myself. And so kind of to start with that, I said my story wasn't pretty. When I started medical school, guys, I came in with the perception that I wanted to spend as least amount of hours as possible. And I tried that. And what happened was my grades reflected the amount of hours I put in. I was a C, maybe B- student when I started medical school. And obviously I wasn't happy with that because, like all medical students, I wanted to do well. And so I increased my hours, I changed my studying techniques, and my grades did improve. But I was miserable. I was spending an excessive amount of time studying, and I just didn't feel like I was the student or the person I was before starting medical school. So I knew I had to make changes, and that's kind of what I've learned. That's what I'm going to share with you guys. But the whole idea was I needed to create some type of system where I could do well and thrive and still kind of spend the life that I wanted, spend the hours in medical school that I wanted. And that's kind of what I've learned through the last 2.5 years that I've been doing TheMDJourney.com. I've been sharing those tips with you guys, and obviously they've been working. The blog, for you guys that aren't familiar, is about to approach 200,000 visitors this year, which is just blows my mind. Didn't expect it to get to that point, and I'm super thankful for all of you guys that have read even one post a word that I've written in the last 2 years. The YouTube channel, which we started this year, is going to get, most likely it's going to cross 1,000 subscribers, which may not seem like a lot to everyone that watches YouTube. But for me, again, to have what I like to think 1,000 people listening to me, 1,000 people in one room at a time, listening to what advice I have to give, that's meaningful to me. So I appreciate every single one of you, because I act like I'm talking to you one-on-one. So I'm just super blessed to kind of be in this situation, to have viewers and audience like you. But let's get to the actual part of this Facebook Live, which is, how do you go from stress to success? And the first part of that is you have to understand why medical students are, stressed out. And it seems very obvious, but there is an underlying principle that sometimes we don't get, which is medical students are type A personalities. We face it, we understand it, we want to do well. That's the obvious part. What we don't realize is when we want to perform well, we start to kind of give up things to do well. So you may say, it's okay if I don't watch the TV show, and instead I'm going to study. It's okay if I don't go out with my friends as often as I used to, because I need to study, need to do well. And to a point, it's okay. Obviously, sacrifices and compromises are needed as a medical student. But what happens is that we may put in some sacrifices and compromises, and we do okay, we do well, and we convince ourselves that those sacrifices were worth it because we want to become a physician, we want to do well. And we continue to put in the grind, put in the hours. what happens, unfortunately, is that when we find ourselves in a slump, every single one of us has been or will be in a slump. I told you about my slumps. What happens is that when you fall into a slump, grades don't go your way, you haven't got enough sleep for the last couple of days, last couple of weeks, the test is approaching and you don't feel prepared. All of those things can kind of put you in a very bad position. And as you find yourself in a slump, you hit a few bad days, you don't have as many things to fall back on because you've compromised them out of your life. You've compromised your TV shows, you compromise your friendships, or the time you spend with your friends. And, on the surface, it may not seem like a big deal. But what you'll do is how every medical student compensates for a couple of bad days, for a bad slump, is you're going to start finding more things in your life, in your personal life, your hobbies, your passions, your loved ones, that make you you, but you're going to sacrifice hours here, minutes there, and months here, where you're going to take them again out of your life. And you're going to hope that taking them out of your life or minimizing them is going to give you more opportunities to study and do better and perform well. So ideally they work, sometimes they don't. So what happens is you hope you perform well, you don't, you start sacrificing things from your life and you still don't perform well, and you find yourself in this deadly cycle of not death, but deadly cycle of stress where you're constantly trying to improve your life, your performance, but you're taking away things that are also important to you and your performance is still not picking up. And you have less and less things to fall back on every single time this cycle occurs. And that's why medical students are stressed. Sometimes we don't accept the latter part of that principle, that we're kind of sacrificing the things that keep us from not being stressed, our families, our loved ones, TV shows, cooking, reading, working out, all those things are important. And we unfortunately sacrifice them in the hope that we can do better in school. That's what I try to do, and it doesn't work, guys. So I'm going to give you 4 things that I've learned on kind of how to get out of that cycle of stress. And the first principle, and I've said this over and over again, so many of you guys may be sick of hearing me say it, but you need to schedule medical school into your life and not your life into medical school. We unfortunately do the latter, and I just kind of went over the example. But if you know there are parts of your life that you want to keep there, you want to keep, your calls back home to your family. You want to make sure you can have a dinner or two with your significant other a week. You want to make sure you're still reading a book or working out, things that are important to you. You need to make sure they're scheduled into your life and then find time for being a medical student. It seems counterintuitive, but after you understand this principle of the cycle of stress, you understand that if you have things to fall back on your week, if you have an hour to watch a TV show, even though you may think that you need that time to study, you feel more relaxed, you feel comfortable, and you're not a medical student 100% of the time. So make sure medical school isn't your life. Make sure your life is there, and make sure medical school is just a part of it. It's a big part, but it's the rest of your components of your life that you held to be very valuable to you, even before you started medical school, are still there. The second thing is kind of going off the idea of scheduling your medical school into your life, which is make sure you schedule your fun first. People hear me say this and they don't, really understand why I'm saying this. It makes sense that you should schedule your studying first and then find a few hours here and there to, watch a TV show, get some YouTube videos in, whatever it may be. But that doesn't work because you're going to find as many hours that are available to study or try to study, and you aren't as efficient, you're not as productive. And then as a side effect of it, you still haven't had time to do things that you enjoy. So instead, find time slots you're going to schedule on your workouts, your dinners that you love to cook, your time to read a book, your time to go for a run, again, your time with your significant other, whatever it may be, your time with your best friends. Schedule those into your weeks and your months, and then find the available time slots. There should still be a huge portion of your day available, and schedule in your studying, schedule in your reviews, schedule in whatever you need to do for medical school. Again, because this helps you fall back on those things because they're a part of your life, and medical school is just another component versus being something that's consuming all your other priorities. So schedule your fun first. That's number 2. Number 3 is, you need to have blocks of time, start and a finish, where you're a medical student, and out of sight of those times, you're no longer a med student. So for me, for example, I tell myself from 6:30 to 7:30, that's my cutoff time. Anything after that, I tell myself, you're not a med student anymore, go do what you enjoy. And it may be difficult. That's why I have to make sure I'm productive for the early portions of the day. But I enjoy, having things that I'm passionate about, or, just simply enjoy, like watching a TV show, playing some video games, working on the blog, and doing those before going to bed versus studying and then going to bed. Because I, and like many of you guys, may attribute my day to the last thing I do. And if the last thing I do in a day is studying, then I'm going to attribute my day to being boring, being cumbersome, and I don't want that. I want to kind of remember every day as something positive, something that I lived on my own basis, on my own control. So make sure you have a start and finish time. You can end your day pretty late as a medical student, that's fine, and you can start it later, whatever works best for your schedule. But make sure you have cutoff times, because then that allows you to have blocks of time where you can just be you. So I can be Laksh, the not medical student, during other time slots. And there are things that I like to do during those time slots. Obviously, the MD Journey, and I've told you guys how important that is for me. And in addition, most of you guys don't know, but in addition to the TheMDJourney.com, I do another business on the side, which I'm trying to learn and figure out and grow. And it does take some part of my time. And so because it's a priority of mine, I have to find time, time blocks to allow it. And so there has to be times where I'm not a medical student so I can work on those. You don't have to have a business, but whatever it may be, you have to make sure that those things work for you. In addition, like obviously I have a family, I have a significant other. Most of you guys know, I'm engaged, and so I'm planning a wedding while I'm applying to residency. And so there's a lot of things on my plate, and I could be stressed out, but instead, guys, like this is probably the best I've felt about medical school in a long time. And I'm excited for the process. All of the stuff that's keeping me busy is fun. I enjoy it but I have my system straight. So make sure you have blocks of time where you're scheduled to be a medical student and blocks of time where you're not. And it's okay. You don't need to feel guilty when you're not studying because you're enjoying yourself, and it's going to be much easier to study when you wake up the next day, even when you're watching TV the night before. So make sure you have those blocks. The final thing, kind of closing off this Facebook Live session, is you have to create systems. On everything you do, you need to be very critical of it. You don't want to be critical of your studying after you realize that you got a C on your exam. Instead, you need to be critical of your studying even when you're getting A's and B's, because you have to ask yourself, what am I doing that's leading to my results? And what am I doing that I'm doing just because I think I should? And med students do a lot of the latter. We do a lot of things because we think you should. We read the textbook, we go to class, we study extensive hours because we think we should, and not really ask ourselves if there's anything of benefit coming from those. If you're not a visual learner, or if you don't learn from reading a text, like I don't learn from reading a text, don't waste the hours, excessive hours doing that. Instead, create a systems of realizing how you study best and go from start to finish on spending a majority of your time learning that material and reviewing for the test using those kind of techniques. I'm not going to belabor the point of how to study. I do that a lot on the YouTube channel. You guys can check out. I have a free video course on TheMDJourney.com that you guys can sign up for and kind of see how I study from step to step if you guys are interested. And I have a course coming out too, so you guys can kind of check out. There's plenty of resources I provide for free on how to study. But you need to have a system. Same goes for system of being productive. Evaluate kind of how you plan your day, how you plan your life, and seeing, do you just let things kind of go with the flow, or do you plan things out very, critically? And do you kind of micromanage your day and make sure everything has a spot? Because you need to do that as busy as you are as a medical student. So you need to create systems. For example, for my productivity, I have a morning routine that I follow. Again, you can check that out at the YouTube channel. A lot of people seem to like it, especially because you learn at what ridiculous hours I wake up compared to most people. But it's part of my system, and it works really well for me. So create systems. Always be critical of everything you do in a positive way, because you want to take away the stuff that doesn't work and continue to spend more time doing the stuff that does. So hopefully, guys, that was helpful regards of how you can go from stress to success and what kind of things you need to keep in mind to transition, to make that transition. The last thing I'll say, if you found this helpful, and you're watching the Facebook video, or if you're watching a replay on YouTube, please either share this video, like this video, just tell a friend via mouth. Any type of exposure I'm truly grateful for, because I'm trying to get this into the hands and the eyes of many people as possible. There's plenty of medical students. You guys may be one, you may know somebody who can use these tips. I was one of them when I started, and so only hoping to help as many people as possible. So I need your help to get there. If you want more tips like this, few things I'll go ahead and suggest. First is go ahead and check out the blog. There's 80 plus posts of every type of lesson that I've learned throughout medical school. And I'm giving you those tips, and I'm giving you those tips on a weekly basis. So there's new blog posts coming out. So go ahead and check out the blog. There are a bunch of free resources out there that I give you guys in terms of like free guides, free video courses. So all you have to do is subscribe to the channel or subscribe to the blog, and I go ahead and email you those for free as well. Always kind of emailing like helpful tips that I learned throughout the process. So the email list is a huge, really cool community, because I am able to kind of connect with you one-on-one, answer any questions that you guys have. Most of you know that those of you that are on my email list know that I'm pretty responsive to emails, and I try to give pretty elaborate advice whenever I can. So join the email list, first of all. The second thing is that I'm putting out YouTube channels on a weekly basis with tips just like these. So if you enjoy this, go to the YouTube channel, find some of the videos I already mentioned, and then subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed it. If you are watching the replay on YouTube, then go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and just like everything else, just tell a friend. I'm doing something really special starting the 1st of September, so 2 days from this Facebook Live, which is I am going to be doing a 30-day challenge of a YouTube video every single day and giving tips just like this one. This is my goal, and I'm going to say it out loud, is to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of September. Currently right over 400, so that's a lot of subscribers to get in a month, and whether we achieve the goal or not, I'm going to set the goal, and I'm going to put in the work, and I just need y'all's help to watch the videos, tell me what you guys need in terms of advice and direction by commenting on the Facebook post as well as the YouTube channels, and every single day you will have a video posted. So hopefully you guys are excited, but if you aren't subscribed to the YouTube channel, go ahead and go to the YouTube, find the MD Journey, and subscribe to the channel, put in the little notification bell, that way you know every single day what the new topic's about. But I'm not going to take any more of your time. Hopefully that helped. Again, you can go from stress to success. I'm not special, and I managed to do it, but you need to remember those lessons I just gave you, because those are the core principles that I hold in my medical school experience. Hopefully this video was helpful. If so, give it a like, share it on Facebook and YouTube. But I will see you guys in the next Facebook Live or the next YouTube channel. Thank you guys so much for watching. Always appreciative for all your eyes and your time. But I will see you guys in the next video. Take care, my friends.